What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another video. Today's video, I will be showing you how to build a doghouse. Yeah, I got the opportunity to do this for someone who loves his dog. And see, this is how it turned out. Yeah, so I'm gonna be taking you through the step by step of how this happened. Yeah. First and foremost, lazima mbao zikuje kutoka kwa yard. They came through and I started cutting into pieces. And it was a lot of pieces, for sure. It was a lot of pieces. Yeah. So I have 2x2s and I also have 3x1s. So this is 2 inches by 2 inches and 3 inches by 1 inch. Yeah. In size, yeah. And now I'm joining the 2x2s. You see? So I'm making the framework. When you're starting out, especially when you're using 2x2, sometimes it feels a bit weak. I decided to use nails because at the moment I didn't get screws that were long enough to hold 2 pieces of wood vizuri. So I decided I'm doing nails for the whole project. So you see, these are 2 frames. This is the front and the back. So basically I decided to do this 2. And then I'll join now from one end to the other with wood. So I just did 2 frames, imagine, because I was thinking again, I do 4, but it will be firm, so there's no need of me adding more wood. Yeah. And now, since I'd already cut out the pieces as per the measurements I needed, you see, this is subject to you and the size of the dog and for how long you want the dog to stay there. This can hold even an adult dog that's huge. Yeah. Or if it's those 2 small chihuahuas and nice small breeds, then it can fit 2 or 3. So now, I told you I decided to use nails. Here, I would have used screws, but then since I decided to do nails and it was faster, I just decided to use the nails. And this is me now joining. This is the back side. Or it can be the front side, we'll just see. So this is the same process I'm going to repeat on the remaining frame that you're seeing right there. Now look, I already have the back and the front. So for me, when I'm doing a project, I just make sure I have the measurements first. I prepare all the wood I need. So the remaining part tu ni kushikanisha. Waelewa? And I just shikanisha. So it becomes faster. So you see how I've organized the wood. I know all that the wood on the farthest end is the one I'm using to cover up the framework, and the ones that's karibu, the wood pieces that are karibu are the ones I'll use to join out the 2 frameworks. Does it make sense? Yeah. That is one. Here is the second one. And it's the same process, organizing hizo mbao. Now, you'll see in some videos, people use clamps so that they can hold in the wood vizuri. But I also figured, because especially here, I'm working on the ground, it would be hard for me to use a clamp. Now, I had to mark the door and the window. Remember, I don't want the animal to suffocate inside there. So what happened is I marked the design I wanted for the door and for the window. Now, for most of the cut, I used the circular for both the window and the door. But now, to achieve that curve that's on the top side, I had to use my jigsaw. That's why it's there. Yeah, so basically, there are guys who cut this before shikanishaing. But now for me, I decided I cut before shikanishaing because it would have been easier for me. You understand? And then all I just need to do is reinforce So when I cut the wood, when I cut out the door and the window, it means now the 2 planks of wood are now hanging on one end. So I have to reinforce that. So that's the window part I'm cutting. Jigsaw for the corners, so that it gives a nice design. Oh yeah, I'm a dog person, so we have dog Zuku. That's why you'll see the 2 puppies running around. The big one is indoors, Maze. I think the dogs thought this is their new home, yet they have a home. Hawajui ni ya wenyewe. So yeah, that's the jigsaw. I cut the corners back to the circular. Anyway, I'm doing straight cuts ni circular. Kuna haja waste time na jigsaw. And hiyo sasa na perfect hivyo. Acha you see the end product. It looks like that from the inside. So what I want to do now is reinforce. You see these pieces that are here, this will make the door. So I'm reinforcing here. I'm reinforcing the planks that were left hanging. And I also have to put a wire mesh for the window part, because you know how dogs can be, yeah? So I kept that in mind as well. And there for the door, remember, it needs to be very firm, because understand, for the door to be installed there, I'll have to hinge it. And by hinging it, I have to use hinges. So there's no way I'd hinge a door on an empty, non-supported, non-firm space. So that's why I had to reinforce that disc space. Now, what I did wrong, I think, was I didn't put the mesh first. You'll see, I realized that baadaye. So this is the door. This is gonna be the door. These are the pieces that I cut out. So what I did was just add extra 2 wood pieces that are gonna support the door. Yeah, and make it one as compared to the separate pieces of wood. Does it make sense? Yeah. This is how the door looks. And I was telling you, instead of G-clamps, I figured a way where like you can install the first wood in the sequence and also the last one. And then now you fit the rest of the woods katikati. So meaning you didn't even leave space. So you'll find yourself even squeezing some pieces of wood to fit in the space, which is better. It's better a tight shape other than one that's loose. Now, I'm cutting the mesh as I told you. For the window space, I'm going to be using mesh wire. And voila, I have cut mesh. I just needed a small size for the window, and then sand the places where I'd seen maybe it was starting to rust, and then now spray paint it black. I figured with things like this, Maze, it's better to spray paint other than paint, because Maze, paint would take forever and it's just something very small. Yeah, so you see. Yeah, I had to chuck one of the pieces of wood I'd put before, if you noticed that, so that the mesh can ingia in between the two. Now I'm installing it. I made sure I cut out a piece of mesh that's a bit longer on one side so that I fold it and I'm able to hit some nails on the side so that the mesh is firm. If it was just exact, I think one side would be floating, meaning if the puppy or the dog is on the inside, it can actually put its paw and the mesh kind of opens up. So you see how it looks. It's now making sense. So I have the framework done, 2 ends done. So what is remaining is just now joining the 2 ends that are done, which is what I'm doing. Don't worry about how it looks. It looks kidogo curved, but it's just because the ground on which I'm working, the ground is not level. This is how it looks. So I started with the bottom part. I pigiliad some wood planks from one end to the other, and then now installed the ones that are running across. So already chini kuko firm. I'm filling up the remaining space on both sides all the way to the ground. All the way to the ground. You see, with nails it's very fast. With screws as well, it's actually fast, but it's the fact that I did not have a driver. So meaning all those nails you're seeing would have been screws, and meaning those screws would have been screwed by me, my hands, my bare hands. It would have been such a struggle. So you see, this is actually the best way to make something. You make sure you make the parts separately and then you join. Just make sure you have the right measurements. So unaona tire side pia nilifanya tu the same. I shikanisha all those 2 different planks, and then now I come install and I join them together. And then now see what is remaining is the top. I'll just lay more pieces of wood and pigilia them. Why I chose this over plywood or blockboard is because this would bring a different aesthetic, considering that I am using varnish. If I was just using paint, ningeamua tu nikutumie a surface that's continuous. So I would have used blockboard, and that would have been even easier and faster. Ningekuwa nishamaliza. But the fact that I have to pigilia each piece of wood as I go, that is what is bringing this whole, time consumption. So you'll see what I mean by your kufanya ikae appealing, yet it's just mahogany. We get there. You see, it's actually complete. Now I'm just installing the top, and there are also options. There are people who put iron sheets, there are people who put different types of roofing. The fact that my friend had told me that he needs the house to be in the corridor, then I figured it's safe from rain, not unless one day he happens to live outside and wants to put this outside, then ni roofing tu tutaongeza, which would be very easy. But for now, since it's indoors, it's either in the balcony or the corridor. So I'm now using my finishing sander to sand the wood. At least I'm using the finishing sander because the timber yard where I get the wood, I know they do the most, mazi. At least when I order ama I pay for wood, wanahakikisha inakuja in a very presentable way. Like all I need to do is just the final touches. Unaelewa? Now I'm using my spray gun to spray mahogany varnish. I'll just be doing 1 coat, and I made sure I diluted this thing because I didn't want it to be dark. At this point in time, I'd done so many projects for people, and most of them were requesting mahogany. So I was really trying to attain different shades of that mahogany. Yeah. So for this one, I really diluted it, and I crossed my fingers and hoped by the time inakauka, itakaa venye nilikuwa na expect. Now, since I left it to dry overnight, by the next morning I chucked it outside. It dried with the sun as I was installing the door, and it was a hot day. When it's hot, like paint, varnish dries very fast. Even the smell easily goes. So I installed the lock, and then now I'm installing the hinges. So what I do, I just place the hinge and I mark where the holes are, and then I drill and then I'll screw, instead of just bahatishaing. You can't bahatisha these things. You have to have the right measurements or approximations for it to work. If you bahatisha, you might end up doing double work. I was very keen to see how it folds. Sometimes you'd install it and then you find that the side that it's folding is going inside. There's no way the door can go in. So you have to be careful. And I really think it looked nice, other than hiding the hinge. It looks really nice. So yeah. See how it turned out, my friends, man. Look at that.